Thanks for joining us today for Master Coaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz and our after show Buzz Reaction. I'm Ruth Nelson, joined by Hall of Famers Mick Haley, Bob Bertucci, and Brian Gimolero, bringing you the most current issues and trends in volleyball. For our first-time viewers, you will find our show to have leaders in our sport join us weekly to discuss topics that are current and ones that are affecting most of us during this challenging time. Our Buzz Reaction is an after show that will be featuring guests selected from our website. Our guest today will cover 2020 AVCA Convention, AVCA D2, D3 Spring Championship, men's and women's NCAA Division I championships, beach championships, and all those other questions that all of us might have for her today. First, let's go to former Olympic coach Mick Haley, who will introduce our guest today. Mick?
Thank you, Ruth. Today we've got Kathy DeBoer, Executive Director of our American Volleyball Coaches Association on, and she's really our czar of volleyball. Kathy, thanks for coming on. I understand this is the 40th year of the association.
Yeah, you, the first president. So I reminded you of that. In 1981, you were the guy leading us out of the wilderness, Terry Liskevich and Andy Banikowski as the founders, and you as the first president. So congratulations.
Well, thanks. Just makes me feel that much older, but it's good to be here. I'm gonna jump right into this because you have been a pioneer here on new and different things. Seems like your whole life, from the professional women's basketball league to our Olympic team, our junior national team that Chuck Irby ran for a long time with ANVA, and all these different things. This year, something new again. And I've got kind of a four-part question I'm just going to shoot out there at you, and you can just go. But you did, your association led by you and all of your people did a virtual convention for all of our membership and anybody else that wanted to learn about volleyball this fall. And I really think that our listeners want to know how many people attended, what did the evaluations reveal, what were your impressions, and it's my understanding that we had only 50% of the Division I coaches signed up for this, and I'm interested to find out if that is actually true and why you think that is.
Yeah. Well, I can answer the questions one at a time. So the number, we had over 1,400 participants in the event. So that's counting exhibitors and attendees and everyone else in it. We always do a post-convention survey. And we ask people, we ask about very specific things, but we also then ask people as an overview between 1 and 10, how would you rate this convention? Okay. And we just went over it in staff meeting yesterday, and it rated an 8.2. We have never had a convention that has rated an 8.2. We've never had anything that high.
Wow.
And so, I think the best one that we've ever had, the best other was a 7.9. And so this was our highest rated convention ever. We had about the same participation. Usually in surveys, you don't get everybody, but you get the people who really liked it and you get the people who really hated it. And there weren't a lot that really hated it. It was an awesome, it was just an awesome event. And it was, Mick, because of the time and effort that the presenters, all of you included, put into your presentations. So we had them done, we were able to do video and we had them uploaded, and then we had the presenter in the chat box. People loved that. And they love being able to ask questions in real time, but yet still be able to see video, even if they didn't have a T1 line into their home. And so, it was, I knew that it was going to be something special. On the first day, the programming started at 1 o'clock, and at 8:30, we opened the portal. And by 9 o'clock, over 300 people were in the chat room. Just going, hey, everybody, I can't wait. And so What we always want our convention to be is an experience that brings the volleyball community together. And we didn't know if we could pull that off virtually, but we did. It was an experience that made people excited about being volleyball coaches.
Is that the earliest we've ever opened a bar?
Yeah, that's right. And it was, for sure, it was the cheapest that we've ever opened. And so it was a great experience. In terms of to your comment about Division I coaches and who came and those kinds of things, I have a hard time criticizing our Division I community for their participation in the AVCA, partially because they sustain us. They're our largest membership group. Over 90% are members. They pay the highest dues. And so there's no way that I'm going to take cheap shots at them. But I also know that they come to the convention for the experience of the convention, not necessarily to listen to each other talk about serve receive or passing or those kinds of things. And so, it's amazing. We've had a bunch of people who have signed up afterwards, and some of them are Division I coaches. So they heard it was great and they came. It overall, I told the staff yesterday, this was just a best in class event done the first time, and it will raise all of us in terms of what the expectations are now for virtual education. And it's a little scary because we work so hard at it, and how do you do this again? But it's cool too.
Well, Kathy, talking about doing it again, what do you think? What do you think about doing it again? I love the regular convention. Hopefully, we'll be back to our regular convention. But there are people that just aren't able to make it for, maybe they're in a different country, maybe they're, just don't have the funds available. What do you think about doing it again?
Well, I think we definitely, and even during the event, we were talking to each other about how do we put something like this on top of an in-person event? What does it look like? We've been having those conversations. And I'll tell you what, Bob, one of the things, I think this was Thursday afternoon, is I left my office, ran down, put my mask on, ran down to Jason Jones's office and said, Jason, we got a problem. I said, how do we ever replicate what's happening here with coaches teaching their athletes in their own gyms, or you guys training an individual in a space that you can work with specifically, that knows what you want, that knows what the drill is, you can teach at their level and everything else. I said, how are we going to replicate this with 14 and under girls and professional men who are our demonstrators? I said, we're going to have to get better at what we're doing in person with our in-person events. And again, those things are scary. I don't know how you felt after you won the national championship, Mick, but I'm going to guess, I'm going to tell you, or Brian, you had two feelings. One was elation, and the other one was like, oh God, how am I going to repeat this?
That's exactly right.
So that's how we feel. It's like, wow, this was awesome. And it's like, ooh, how do we take this up a notch?
Well, Kath, we have the men's championship coming up in the spring, and traditionally you would do an in-person thing at the spring, but what do you have planned for this year at the men's championship?
Yeah, we're still working on it. And the reason we're still working on it isn't because we want to be delayed in planning, but because COVID is keeping us at arm's length as to what are we going to be able to do? Is there going to be an opportunity to do anything in person? And if we do something virtually, what does it look like? But yes, we are going to do some programming around the men's event. It's going to be in Columbus, Ohio, the first weekend of May, May 7 to 9. And we're in conversations with Gold Medal Squared right now. They've been a partner for us in this. What I really want to do, Bob, is I want to build something that the men own, that is for, about, by men's coaches, boys coaches, about men's boys volleyball. And that's my goal for this year. And because we will very likely be in a virtual format, that allows us to reach out in more places. We started the spring conference with that in mind, and we had to adjust because we couldn't get scale. Boys high school is still playing at the time of the men's championship, and so those coaches weren't available to come. Club is kind of in a liminal state there where a lot of them are involved with high school, and so we just couldn't draw. But we think virtually we'd like to build something that is for boys and men's coaches and very specific to that game at the men's championship.
So you're thinking about it being more virtual, most likely?
It looks like it's going to have to be. We've talked to the Ohio State people, and they're at this point are saying, no, we're not letting you in. We're not giving you space to do anything. We don't know where we're going to be, and it'll probably be months before we give you the go ahead. So, as we always say, you can cancel something a week out, but you can't plan something 2 weeks out. So, yeah.
All right, that sounds great. Brian, is there anything that you have for Kathy?
Kathy, how big is your staff?
We have 9 of us, including me. Yeah.
9 of now. Did they all quit after this? Are you down to 0 now?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's no. They have hung in there, but we were talking about it a little bit yesterday because usually the fall is incredibly busy because we're planning the convention and we're managing women's D1, D2, D3, NAIA 2-year college. And we're doing polls for them, players of the week for them. We're doing All America programs and stuff. And so it makes the fall really busy. So the fall was fairly busy because we were doing convention planning and something that we'd never done before. And things always take longer when you've never done them before. And I always underestimate how long they're going to take, but anyway, so fall was relatively busy. Now here we are in the spring and we have women's Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA 2-year colleges playing in the spring, plus our men's Division I and II, men's D3, and our beach programs are all starting with their training this week. And so, I said, just keep your head down and keep working. Okay. Don't pull your head up and go, how are we going to do this? I don't want to hear it. We're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. So you're like the rest of us, like coaches that are lying to their players all the time and how easy it's going to be. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
I'm a well-practiced liar. We can do this. We can do this. Just like when you went in to play a team that you knew was going to stomp you, you had the plan. It's like, if we just do these things. Mary Wise said at one time, she said, I was putting a game plan together against Penn State, and they were better than us by a lot in 5 out of 6 rotations. And we were even in 1. And so she says, how do you tell your team, well, if we can just stay in this 1 rotation the whole time, we got a chance. Says you can't tell them that, so you just lie.
Kathy, am I right to say there were 100 presenters at the convention? 100 different people made presentations?
That's correct. Yeah, there were over 100 sessions, actually about 120.
And we're still waiting for our paychecks because all 100 of us worked for free, right? But more importantly,
you did, and we thank you for that.
Well, more importantly, I think the public needs to know that you gave up your salary during this time. Is that correct?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that.
Just for 6 months, just October through March. Then we'll look at it again and see where we are.
Yeah, we didn't give up any salary. We just did this part for free. But I salute you for doing that. That's a tough one to do. And I really appreciate that. And I don't usually speak for others, but I think that all of us in the volleyball community really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. I mean, I would be lying, Brian, if I didn't say that AVCA hasn't been wounded by this pandemic. I mean, I'm an optimist by nature and I can be upbeat and stuff, but we're wounded. I mean, our membership is down by about 20%, 21.7 if you want the exact, but who's counting? Our sponsors are struggling, and when they struggle, then we struggle. And so we're wounded. That's the bad news. The good news is we haven't suffered a wound that we can't recover from. And so, the fundamentals of the sport are sound. The fundamentals of the organization are sound. And the reason I made the decision about my salary is because the young people that are in this organization are the ones that do all the work. And if you asked them, they would roll their eyes and they would go, yeah, Kathy comes up with all the projects and we do all the work. And that's true. And so cutting them off cuts off our ability to do things. And besides, they're early in their career. They're still, boy, you put them on furlough for 3 weeks, all of a sudden they can't make their rent payment. They can't make their car payment and stuff. And so, whereas I'm old, I can do this for 6 months and not have to skip my coffee in the morning or anything else and stuff. And so this was the right thing for the AVCA. But again, my message is that we're going to be very aggressive in going and getting people back. I mean, we have said already, to those who did not renew their membership this fall for a whole variety of reasons, we understand, but we are not whole until you're back with us. And so we're going to do it with benefits. We're going to do it by providing services to them. If I have to call them on the phone and say, listen, you're getting a salary, write the damn check. Okay. I'm not getting a salary, write the check. I will do it. So don't make me come after you because I will.
Well, Kathy,
Okay.
on behalf of everybody at Master Coaches, we've pretty much, once we heard about the commitment you made, we really tried to push getting all these coaches to sign up. I mean, Mick was on every one of our shows.
You guys are awesome.
Talking for you and trying to get everybody in line.
And just, again, we didn't ask one single coach to help us that said, no, I don't have time or I'm not doing it. And so it was one of the most affirming things for us as a staff is we needed you and you said, I'm in. And so, as much as, like I say, when I look at the financial statements, I go, put that away. There were so many good things here that came out of the struggle this fall, and some of it was really cementing our relationships and our commitment to each other.
Okay, I guess I get to jump in.
Kathy,
now.
I got one more for you, Kathy, because we're good with time, right, Ruth?
Yeah, we're pretty good. I'm going to go to Mick here in a minute because I know he had one other thing to say.
So since I know you, you're
Okay, I'm not getting you, Brian. You're breaking up on
needed.
me. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ask it again.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Since I've known you, your mantra, your goal was always growth for the sport and support or publicity for the sport. But given what has happened, what do you want to see? What are you working on for the future?
Yeah. So we're going to take a little bit of a dip. Okay, we've lost the LaSalle program. We don't think that one's coming back. That's on the women's D1 side. We've lost a couple of D3s. We've lost some colleges completely that have gone out of intercollegiate athletics. But last week, Fairleigh Dickinson announced they are adding a Division I men's program, our second in the last 3 years, growth during a pandemic. University of Maryland, Baltimore County announced last fall they're adding a women's beach team. Lane College, a Division II school, HBCU in Tennessee, adding a women's beach team. So, what I'm looking at is that once we get through this valley, the fundamentals of what volleyball brings to a campus is very, very positive. We bring a demographic of students who are going to be contributors to the institution while they're there and once they leave. And as in the next 5 years, there's going to be a real competitive event going on in higher education, because the demographics all say that the number of college age students is going to go down in the next 5 years. And so colleges are going to have to struggle for ways to succeed. And we want to be in a place where we can help volleyball people. I mean, we can't do it. It has to be, we're the facilitators, but where we can help volleyball people with growth initiatives. I know Mick is working with the two-year colleges and First Point on men's volleyball in the NJCAA. I talked to John Ellman up at Wisconsin Oshkosh last week about the possibility of getting those Division III Wisconsin public schools to look at men's volleyball, because their enrollment is sliding and the boys that are playing volleyball in Wisconsin are now going other places. So how do we help people make arguments? The WAC is now picking up some beach teams and already had one or two. And so how can we work with the WAC, the new WAC, to make beach a conference sport there? Those are all the things that when I go through the D1 ticker in the morning, that's what I'm looking for, is where are there opportunities for us to grow?
Okay. All right, Kathy. Now, before we start my couple questions, you can still register for the AVCA Virtual Convention, I heard you say.
Yes. We extended the registry, or we extended our access to the portal. So if you were at the convention and you went, oh God, I didn't get a chance to go hear Mick's session, or I didn't get a chance to see Trevor Reagan's opening keynote, or I missed Jen Oldenburg's, you can still go get it. If you were registered, you can get it until February 19. And if you missed the whole thing, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reason was, you can still get the whole thing, and you can get it until February 19th. So you got 5 weeks here.
Okay.
And all of the discount codes, there's a MasterCoaches discount code, still work and stuff.
Okay,
So
that's
$249 for it, and through the middle of February.
Okay, so I have a challenge for you. A new sponsor for you, Tesla. Because I think you ought to do an AVCA and satellite with their new satellite program for over in Mars. So put that on your back burner, because they're going to be your new sponsor.
Okay,
right,
sounds good. Sounds good. Non-gravity volleyball.
That's right. All
right.
right.
I tell you what, even us old folks be able to jump.
Yeah,
well, I
my
don't know about
vertical
me.
up there finally.
Okay, so the big thing is you have taken on 2 events. The AVCA D2 and D3 events that were canceled by the NCAA. What do you have planned for those 2 events?
Okay, well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration when you use AVCA and NCAA in the same sentence on events, okay? Because they have like $1 billion that comes from men's basketball they pay for things with, and we just have each other, which is fine. We have each other. But yes, the Division II and the Division III women's coaches said, hey, we're playing this spring. We would like to have a championship event. And so we're working with the Academy Volleyball Club in Indianapolis, 11-court facility there. And the first, let me see, it's the weekend after the Final Four, March Madness Final Four. So April 8, 9, 10, we'll be there with the Division III women's championship tournament. And then the next week, we'll be in Dallas. Glenn Litsky and his gang that runs Lone Star, they have 2 weekends of Lone Star, and we'll be playing a women's D2 championship kind of in the middle of those 2 weekends and into part of the second weekend.
Oh, wow.
That we'll be doing. Now, again, the difference is with the NCAA pays for everything and then some, all right? With the AVCA, as you guys know, You pay to be part of our activity. We get the trophies and the T-shirts, and we'll do the organizing and the facilitation of the event, get the hotels, put the manuals together, get everything organized, schedule and everything else and stuff. And then come on.
So tell us a little bit about beach, because we haven't talked much about beach, because I see you have small college D1. I mean, how is that being done?
Well, we've done the small college beach championship now for 3 years. Last year was to be our fourth, and we lost it obviously. So this year will be our fourth. We have 12 D2 teams that will play for a D2 championship at small college beach. We currently have 9 NAIA teams that will play for an NAIA championship. And we're looking to add some a pairs tournament in there, because there weren't enough of the D3 schools or the 2-year colleges that could come to make a divisional championship. But eventually, I mean, we do that in Tavares at the 21 court facility there. That's part of Steve Bishop's operation with the Florida region. He's been a great partner in that. And we can have, a lot. I mean, with 20 courts, you can have 4 matches going on at the same time. And so it's a really fun event that we want to continue to grow as long as it needs us. Now, the NAIA has 25 beach teams. Now, they've gone from 0 to 25 in 5 years. So they're going to start their own. They're bidding right now. So they're going to start their own championship.
Okay, so we don't want to forget.
All of these, our goal with all of these is to turn them over to somebody else once the scale is there for the organization to run it itself, and then we'll find another place to fill the gap.
Okay, we can't forget about D1 women's championships. We've left that at the end because we're always addressing that. So what's happened with the D1 championships? Yeah,
well, the format they're telling us is going to come out here early in February. So what we do know is the field has been dropped from 64 to 48. And we know that the championship site will be on Thursday, Saturday, the 23rd, 25th. Is that right? Or is it 20? Anyway, of April. All right. Yep. So of April, and it will be in Omaha. Beyond that, we don't know exactly how the event is going to be structured going back. We know that it won't be the way that it's been, where you have 16 first round sites, because you only have 48 teams. And so you're going to have some buys in the mix. But they haven't announced yet how they're going to actually structure the playing in rounds. So we're going to have you back on again, because we're running out of time, and I want to run back to Mick for a minute, because I know he had something he wanted to say, but. Yeah, or you can get Kristen Fossbender and TJ Mayer. I mean, they're actually the experts on it. But yes, I'll be glad to come back as soon as we know something. But they're telling us early February.
Okay, Mick.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to talk about, is what we're going to try to do next week. We actually are going to approach both of those individuals to see if we can get them on the show. It's going to be very interesting. We have matches starting this weekend and all kinds of things. I noticed the Big Ten finally put out today
their television schedule.
Friday, Saturday nights of Purdue
and
playing
what's
Wisconsin.
Cool about that? Then, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to make this one point and stuff. Is that last fall of 19, there were 40 Big Ten matches on the Big Ten Network. This winter, with basketball and everything going on, there are 39. So they did not cut the television appearances for volleyball, which is just huge.
And not only that, they're offering midweek matches because Tuesday, Ohio State versus Penn State, and Thursday, Michigan versus MSU. When do you think the Pac-12 is going to publish something? I know they have a schedule, but they haven't put anything out. What's going on with that?
I think what's going on with that is California is just really, really in trouble right now with the pandemic. And I was just on a phone call with one of the beach people there earlier today, and I was listening to NPR this morning, and their hospitals are out of spaces, their morgues are out of spaces. I mean, Yeah, and so I'm afraid I have to default to that it's bigger than volleyball out there right now in terms of what they're trying to do and how they're trying to get around and whether they can play and that kind of thing. As you know, some of the conferences out there have actually called off their spring schedules.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy, we're going to have to let you go. We appreciate you coming on because we're running late and we actually have Buzz and we actually have Jake and Baden on for our Buzz
Right.
reaction because we reformatted. But thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, hey, I so appreciate all the work that you've done on our behalf and love having you as partners. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy,
Kathy.
for being on.
Bye-bye.
All right. Book your Master Coaches custom virtual clinic today for you, your fellow coaches, and your team. Please head over to our Instagram, VB Master Coaches, click on our bio, and click on Virtual Clinic link. Remember, all of our Wednesday Buzz shows are on YouTube, and you may access these through our Instagram account. Follow us on Facebook, Volleyball Master Coaches, Instagram and Twitter, VB Master Coaches. A special shout out to our partners, SNA Sports and Baden Sports, and thanks to our content providers, NFHS, JVA, Coaches Insider, and AVCA. If you'd like to be on our Buzz Reaction after show, please head over to our Instagram account, VB Master Coaches, click on the link in the bio and sign up for our updates. Now, we're going to continue the conversation with Buzz Reaction, but first let's go to our Buzz and Buzz Reaction digital partner, John Foreman, who will update on his most recent project. John.
Digital partner now. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an upgrade or a downgrade.
Yeah, you may want to let Jake and Richard in too.
Well, when they show up, I will.
All right.
So hopefully that's pretty soon. Coming up on my next podcast, I got Alex Porter is going to be joining me for a discussion. We already had one kind of talk on virtual recruiting and having to recruit without actually being able to go and see kids live. But we're going to follow that up with a conversation about mentorship in coaching, which I think is an interesting thing. So that will be coming up on my podcast, which you can find on coachingvb.com, on iTunes, all the other places. And it'll get posted up also on YouTube, as well as on Twitter and Facebook. So you find it wherever you want to go. So with that, we can roll forward if the guys show up.
Well, I've got a few things here to start with.
All right.
As our guests are joining us for today's Buzz Reaction, we want you to know today we start our new format by having guests at the beginning of each Buzz Reaction. Please be sure to follow us on Facebook, Volleyball Master Coaches, and sign up to get on the guest list. And we also have to remember is that each week that we will be having other partners, sponsors, and also people who have been attending and watching our show on Facebook Live. All right, so until we get Jake and Richard on, let's go ahead and just talk briefly about how Kathy addressed all the issues. So Mick and Brian and Bob.
Okay.
Well, I got a great tongue in cheek because we were talking about how good liars we are when we're coaches trying to convince our teams we're going to win. And then you said that, and then I looked at Kathy and her eyes are blinking. And if you've ever seen any of these shows on TV that are giving you these tests, lie detector tests, they always say, are their eyes blinking? Because if their eyes blink, they got to be lying. So I about fell off my chair when that was going on, and I had a good time with that. But I didn't pick up anything special except for the 8.2. What did I said? 1,400 members. That's pretty darn good for a virtual. And I don't know if we told the group, but yeah, we all presented on this thing, but we also watched a lot of the presentations, and I really got more out of it than when I go to a convention. And Bob said it best. He said, you know, you're trying to get to these meetings. You want to hear some of these presentations, and then you run into somebody you haven't seen in 15 years, and you got to sit down and talk. And so, well, that's a good part of the convention. The bad part is you never have a straight path to get to see what you want to see.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was good. And then I thought an 8.2 ranking by the 1,400 people that attended the convention, you've got to repeat that in some form, right? Because that's too good. So that's my takeaway.
Wow, no, that's great. How about Brian and Bob?
I'll let Brian go first.
Way to
All
throw the
right.
curve, Bob.
Yeah. I thought that, well, Bob, why don't you go? Because I'm digesting what Mick said right now.
I
Yeah,
love
I
it,
think,
Brian. I love
you know,
it.
For me, I think it's a no-brainer that they continue to do the virtual clinic because it did come off so well. And, you know, I just think there's a lot of people out there that, you know, just can't get to the actual convention. It's not going to stop any of the people that usually go to the convention to go to it. So, I mean, it's a lot more work for them to do. And, you know, it's going to be a matter of getting a lot of these coaches like ourselves to be able to, you know, put presentations together. But I think it's something to help move our sport forward. So it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, my feeling was I was impressed that there's still growth going on. The overall is positive. We lost a few programs, but in every aspect of our sport, we are growing. And I think that the realization that I made being part of this program is that the universities need enrollment. And I think that beach teams, indoor teams, men or women, there can be a financial gain to the universities by adding a program. I think it's in their best interest, given the cost of a program and the cost of attendance, that it's actually a positive financial move to add programs to universities. And I think Kathy has made that scenario very public to different schools, and I think it will help the growth. But I'm happy to see that it is growing. I've made it public that at Long Beach State I started the program on the beach, and we did it for no money at all. And we had several, we had quite a few kids playing that are all paying to go to school, and there's no cost to the university. So I just think it might be part of what's going to happen in the future, and real growth, especially in men and especially in beach. That was my takeaway. Plus,
All right.
Kathy is amazing communicator.
Yeah, I see Jake is on.
Jake is on.
Jake is on. All right, here we go. Well, today's guests are from a company that is a family-owned, and for those that don't know, this company is pronounced Baden, not Baden. What you might not know is they are partners with AAU Volleyball, Side Out Foundation, NIA Volleyball, BYOP, Go Kids, and a long-standing partner of the AVCA. They are also suppliers to many youth club programs in USA regions, as well as official ball of many high school federations and or championships. They have been the official volleyball of MasterCoaches Championship Skills Series and also the Bob Bertucci volleyball camps. Today, we are very pleased to have Jake Lick, CEO, Baden Sports. Welcome to you. And maybe we'll have Richard, but all of us have many questions for both of you. Let's start with a great question from our viewers. What is your relationship with the American Volleyball Coaches Association meant to your company over the many years?
Well, can you guys hear me okay, first and foremost?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Great.
Photogenic.
It is really a pleasure to be on. And Richard, is going to try to make it. He is unable to connect right now, so we'll see if he makes it. But, first, to answer your question, Ruth, we have been a long-time partner of the American Volleyball Coaches Association. And it predates me, so I am sort of third generation within the company. This goes back to our founder, 2 generations ago. So I can't give you the exact year, but it has been a while, and it is one of our most treasured partnerships without a doubt. And for me, as I took on this role and even prior roles and was sort of introduced to the AVCA, going to the convention, going to the national championships, and then I think one of the first, it was probably 4 years ago that I first went. And for me, it was just such an eye-opening experience to be there And then to meet Kathy and to understand sort of who she was in the world of volleyball was, I mean, just such a joy. And it like I said, it is one of our most treasured partnerships without a doubt.
All right. Well, okay, Bob, I know you had a list of too many questions and you don't get to ask them all.
Well, I think one of the things I just found out, not too long ago, Jake, was that you guys moved from where we actually did our first Master Coaches Clinic up in Seattle area to a new facility. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about your new facility that you just moved into?
Yeah, great question. So, obviously with the pandemic and with all of the moving parts in 2020, you can't stop a move that was already in progress. So that was something that, I think in many ways people were going, oh, did you guys downsize during the pandemic? Was there some reason for the move? And of course, when it comes to, big facilities, that's a multi-year process. And so, we had started looking at other facilities, and really there's two different kind of reasons for it. One is, when we look out, especially at the way we deliver product nationwide and even globally at this point, the fact of the matter is we distribute a ton of our product east of the Mississippi. And being up in the northwest corner of the United States makes that a very challenging, thing to get not only the time to customer, but just also with the way that the cost of shipping has gone, domestic distribution has gone. It made all the sense in the world. So we are expanding actually with this move, but we're going to have sort of a dual coast distribution strategy. So we'll be in the Spartanburg, South Carolina area, and then still having a facility up here. But we reduced our total sort of warehouse footprint up here by about a third, and increased our office space a little bit, which seems a little bit ironic now in the in the pandemic. I'm like the one guy here today essentially. So we have a bigger, I think, nicer office, but I'm the only one that gets to enjoy it right now. I mean, which is a bit of an exaggeration, but we have a few product people in, but it's, for the most part, most of our staff, office staff, is still working from home.
All right.
Yeah, and Baden has their own manufacturing facility. So you have good quality control on everything that you're putting together.
And thank you for listening. I said there was two parts, and I gave you guys the first one about distribution. The second part is that we build a lot of our own product, and the facility that that we build the volleyballs in is down in the Dominican Republic, down in the Caribbean. So it makes all the sense in the world to have a place to receive product that allows us to bring it directly into the southeast of the United States. It's a couple day float versus sometimes especially when we were going from the Dominican all the way through the canal and back up to Seattle. I mean, about as far as you could go. And, so that's the other major advantage to having a second distribution.
So in the long run, that's gonna help tremendously in terms of your distribution all over the country, as well as other places in the world.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about the new products that you have in the pipeline right now.
Yeah, well, I'm having somebody bring one in for me right now, but I'll just wait for them to bring it in. But we just launched the one that I was most anxious to talk about when you said maybe I could share a little bit about a new product was, we launched a ball. So we became partners with the AAU in 2020. That was our first year. And so when we looked at that and the ways that we could, take advantage of that partnership or maximize that partnership opportunity, it was a move to do so much more in the club world. And, we had, frankly, our product line had been largely built around sort of more institutional, more school-based, customers, really, and end customers. And what we found is we had a lot of schools asking for, a lot of club programs sort of saying, hey, we love the leather ball. We've, in many cases, played with it at tournaments, played with it in high schools. But when it comes to clubs, there's just the financial aspects of it. They're going, I want to play with something that plays like leather, but maybe has a lower price point. And our composite leather had really been built for, a customer that wanted something like a softer feel, not necessarily to play as much like our leather ball, and which is much firmer, a little bit smoother, a little bit slicker. And so, yeah, we launched a ball this, really in 2020, but there's limited activity. So we've sort of, we're really excited about launching this ball in a larger way in 2021. And it's our new All-American ball. And so, yeah, hopefully our product person will bring one into me here in a second.
You better be bringing one of those soft lights up too.
Exactly. Well, and the soft lights, so shout out to Ruth, who we worked with. I can see one over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got the graphic up there right now. So she wasn't sure if you were going to have the video on today. So she made a graphic just in case you didn't have the video.
Okay, there you go.
I love it. And so, yeah, that's really the biggest, I think, product that in 2021 is something new, something to really talk about. The other things, though, that we really highlight are, our customization capabilities, especially within club volleyball. That's been such a big thing, but we do it with all of the colleges we work with. I know all of the coaches I see on the screen here, all of you guys, I know we've done custom balls for your programs in the past, and we just love doing it. It's putting the customer, first. It's putting their brand, whether that's a university or whether that's a club or a high school. Hey, Casey. Okay. And so, that's the other thing. And the by virtue of having that factory in the Dominican Republic, we can have a quick turnaround time on that full customization, do them in the team's colors, and it's just a lot of fun to do it that way too. So, but yeah, I think what we're thinking about most right now is how we can partner with clubs and schools to help them come back from everything that, from all the challenges that 2020 presented. And so, that's part of where we're highlighting the All-American. It's a lower price point ball. And it's, that's really the question we're asking. And it's fun to come on. We watch your show regularly because frankly, it's the best place to get volleyball news. And really we're all in this together. And I know that's so cliche by now, but we are all in this together. And I think we're all in this together answering the question, how do we bring volleyball back to the levels that we all, know and expect, and how do we help it grow beyond that in a post-pandemic world, which hopefully we're getting closer and closer to. So.
Well, there's no doubt that one of the biggest expenses for a volleyball club, is the volleyball. So finding a high quality, ball at a different price point that's a little bit more affordable is surely going to help some of these clubs along right now, getting back, up to 100% of where they were prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, it's true. And, and I think for us, we're looking, sort of end to end. There were clubs that took delivery of product last year, really before the season kind of kicked off or just as it was kicking off. And so, some clubs we're talking to, and, they still more or less have inventory, right? And so for us, we're trying to, that's where it's so important for us to not only try to say, like, where are things going with a return to play, from a policy and, governmental standpoint, but also just, the comfort level and then the financial level of clubs. And so, there's a lot of facilities and clubs that got hit really hard. So how many of those are coming back? Some of them already have product. They don't need it. How can we best still support them in a year like that? I mean, this is about, as you guys know so well, it's not a huge, it's a small world. Everyone, needs to support one another if we're going to bring the sport back to a point of real health. And I mean that from just every level of it, like us as a manufacturer or vendor, but, to the programs themselves, to the facilities where people play, every aspect of this has to kind of, find that balance all over again. And so, yeah, it's all about communication for us and how we do that. But,
so I had a question. How's your sales versus U.S. versus international?
Oh, we're still really highly U.S. focused. Here we go. Here's the All-American I was talking about. So this one is specifically with the AAU, color blocking and logoing. But we're doing this in a full, set of stock colors as well.
Okay.
But, so this ball is non-NFHS stamped, which helps us keep kind of the price low and also makes it so that it's really not intended. It demonstrates it's not intended for the high school market, which, we put the NFHS stamp on all of those balls.
Uh-huh.
Wish I could, somehow let you guys feel it, but it's a little bit firmer, a little bit smoother than our Lexum, and so it plays a lot more like a traditional leather ball.
Hey, we can feel it.
Yeah, you can. All right.
Yeah, we can feel it right through the screen. Brian, can you not feel that?
I already said it a couple times.
Yeah, you liked it, huh?
We're really
It's a
excited
great-
about it.
Yeah, it's a great idea. There's a need for it, obviously.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. Everyone that we've gotten them out to so far, it's just been a really, really positive reception. So,
Well, maybe what we'll do is our first live clinic coming back is going to be at a club down in Amarillo, Texas, and maybe we'll feature
it
that
out.
spoil and let some of the club players get a chance and coaches get a chance to see what it's like. That's a great
Yep.
idea.
Abilene or Amarillo?
Abilene. I'm sorry.
hey, you got it.
Hey, and then we're
Consider it
heading
done.
for Seattle.
Yeah, no, seriously, Bob, consider it done. We'll send you a bunch of these for that clinic, and you can send us. You can even share on here your real feedback. So
That's right. You throw it right through the screen. But we're coming back to Seattle with Raquel, and
That's
they just built their facility in just
Yeah.
outside of Seattle.
Right. Now we're really excited to have you guys back up here, kind of where it all started in many ways.
Yeah.
So, but Ruth, you had just asked me a question. I don't know if I answered it. I know I was
The
interrupting.
international, because I know, and I of course I care about the soft light because it's for 10 and under, but I know you have a ton of sales that go on in the elementary and recreation in Canada.
Right. So Canada is definitely our second biggest market. And then where we're starting to see real growth is in the Caribbean. We, especially with the AAU partnership, so many clubs from, that region do come up, especially to the Florida tournaments to compete.
Uh-huh.
So these the really large scale AAU tournaments is creating demand for us, and some of kind of like the closer, the Caribbean, Mexico, and so that's really been kind of a new set of customers for us in recent history. So it is exciting international growth. It's not a market that we've gone after as much. But Canada, we have a dedicated Baden distributor up there, Baden Sports Canada, and some really great distribution partners up there. So yeah, we're big in Canada.
That's fantastic. Hey, Jake, we're running a little bit short on time, but we appreciate you coming on and telling us all about what Badens do. I know we appreciate it. The AVCA appreciates it. And this is the fun time for us because we've added, Brian said the other day, he says, is this another show we've added? And we just kind of laughed but we want this to be something special for people that are viewers that sign up on our website, or they can go to Instagram and they can sign up, or they can send an email to info@volleyballmastercoaches.com, and they can be on the list to come on as guests, even if they're not a partner. So it's going to be a fun thing. And Bob's running the lottery, and Mick and I decided that he does a good job at it. But we want to thank you for coming on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And, and I've said it before, but it has just been an honor to be partners with Master Coaches and really each of you over the years. And I mean, this is one of the highlights for me. So, thank you for, including me in this, and, especially on a show with Kathy, already spoken to our long-term partnership, but it's just, this is the great part of the sport and the great part of a group of people that are part of the sport and helping to
All right.
make it everything it is. So, no, thank you. It's an honor.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, Jake. Thanks for coming on.
Jake.
Thanks,
a
Jake.
lot, Jake.
Bye-bye.
All right. Now let's hear it from Mick, Brian, and Bob. We're going to continue. We have a few, probably about 4 or 5 more minutes. And we left off at Kathy in D1. But I have a question. How about the D2 and D3 combining with junior club facilities and junior club? Wow. That's really cool.
Well,
Well-
that's pretty creative. Yeah.
But Glenn Litsky, Austin Juniors here in Austin, he rents almost the entire Dallas Convention Center. And if you looked at that, they had over 250, 300 courts last time I knew for just that junior tournament down there. It was lasting 3 weeks before COVID hit.
Mhm.
And he was doing a collegiate boys or high school boys tournament also, and offering opportunities for non-varsity collegiate teams to play. And so he's the guy out here through the years that has done so much. In fact, I have to tell you this story, and you all appreciate this. We were all with Jim Peterson and BSA Sports many years ago. And when we first came to Austin, Glenn came as my assistant, but he started Austin Juniors, and the big sport here was kickball. And he got Al Bennett, who was a junior high coach at St. Austin's, to let us have the new gym to start volleyball. Well, one thing led to another, and kids started coming. The Baptist church group was getting beat by the Catholic group, so they started coming. We started training all the parochial schools, young kids to play. And it got so big that Glenn had to expand. He needed more facility. Well, he went to the high schools, and they said absolutely not. They just locked their gyms up on the weekend. So he came back with a proposal that I thought was one of the most unique. He volunteered to install and pay for systems, collegiate net systems in every school in Austin if they would allow him to rent their facilities for the first junior volleyball tournament that he sponsored here. And I think it was not the Lone Star, but I think it was the Third Coast.
Uh-huh.
And so he had every high school that allowed him to install posts free and nets free, and he gave them to them.
That was SNA equipment, right?
Yeah.
Stuff,
Yeah,
right?
that was SNA equipment, and he came in and they gave him a special price, and he was able to outfit at that time all of the high schools and some of the junior highs here in Austin. He then went to the Austin Convention Center. They thought he was nuts. They gave him a hard time. He outgrew that facility within 3 years with the Third Coast tournament. He moved it to Dallas and then over to Houston for a while and then back to Dallas. Monica up there in North Dallas, who runs
Monica Paul.
Monica Paul, who runs the Sports Authority up there, worked with him getting the Dallas Convention Center, and he has just grown volleyball in the state like you can't believe. Mitchell Castile did the same thing over in Houston a little bit, and so that's really how this all got started. And Glenn's always been giving back to the sport, and he's doing this now with Kathy and with the AVCA and anybody else that wants to get something going. And he's a prime mover with the First Point Volleyball Foundation to get more Division I, Division II, and Division III boys volleyball programs going. And I'm on that board also, and I just picked up junior colleges because we started at Kellogg. So this is kind of a story that needs to get out there. Glenn and Kathy Litsky have just done so much for the sport. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they have a son and daughter playing right now currently.
They do.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a suggestion for the Buzz. Maybe what we've got to do is each week, each of us have to tell a story to help people understand better the history of how volleyball really got started in this country.
Boy, you guys are in trouble because I got a good one on Bob. I got a good one on Brian. And I got a good one on you, Ruth. So
Yeah, we might want to stay away from that.
you guys are really in trouble.
Hey, but
That
you
could
know
be
what?
the worst idea you've had.
We're gonna have a mute button, right? So a person has only a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
All
but
right,
we all get that button. You've been controlling that
who
button.
gets the
lately.
button?
Yeah, I thought Brian got it today during our regular show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to cut
Okay.
you guys off.
Here we go. We want to thank Baden Sports for joining us on today's Buzz Reaction. We are proud to be part of the many organizations that have benefited from having a volleyball. that's making a difference in our sport. For those viewers that want to be on our Buzz Reaction guest list, jump over to VB Master Coaches Instagram, go to the bio and click on Want to Be a Guest link. Thanks for joining us today and see you next week on the Buzz.